What adjustments off the field has Nolan Gorman made to help him stay on the field even more in 2024? Plus, which new pitcher is reportedly impressing so far at camp? This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Haffern, and I'm a national radio sports anchor born and raised in the Lou and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter, X at JD Sports Radio. You can follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. Want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. If you haven't seen us there yet, I encourage you to come on by. If you're one of those that listens to the show, the audio version only, got some good stuff going on the YouTube version as well. So you might want to come by, check it out, like, subscribe, comment, make sure you're interacting with us, hit the notification button so you know when new episodes are posted, because this is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode being brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. All right, first and foremost, if you are watching on YouTube, got the new hat in. Check it out. Check it out. New batting practice hat. I love it. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I highly encourage you to get one for yourself. Also want to apologize for this coming out so late tonight. Had work and then had an event that I had to go to. So now we're just getting back and we're ready to talk some Cardinals baseball. The first spring games are coming up on Saturday, which I'm sure everyone is excited about, right? And so far, fingers crossed, so far, we haven't had much injury stuff to talk about. All right. I'm saying it in a whisper because I don't want to ruin it. Okay. But that's good news because last year, so many injuries. Felt like the whole team went down with debilitating injuries throughout the year. Now, some of those injuries, fluke ones, right? Like you had the Dylan Carlson ankle. Nobody thought it was going to be this bad. Lars Newbar had a bunch of them last year. Remember the abdominal injury when something lower area got hurt? Alec Burleson's broken thumb. How about that one? You don't worry about those so much because ish happens, right? Like you can't predict those kind of injuries. That stuff, it just happens. It is the nature of the game. It's part of it all. Others, you can be more concerned about. Other ones are wear and tear injuries over the grind of a season. We know it's very difficult to stay healthy through an entire Major League Baseball season. 162 games, not a lot of people. Like what Cal Ripken Jr. did is bonkers. Like how the hell did he play in that many games that long consecutively? It's crazy. And we know that being out there on the field every single day, it's even more difficult as you get older. For example, Nolan Arenado dealt with the dead arm and back issues last year. He's going to be 33. You hope this isn't a trend. And so far, spring training feels great. Talked about his arm, how it feels great. Arm is strong. He's ready to go. We talked about that in our episode earlier this week, which focused on Nato. So if you didn't get to see it or hear it, make sure you go check that out. But what about the other Nolan? The other injuries that Nolan was dealing with? Talking about Nolan Gorman, the one that plagued Nolan Gorman last year, the back injury, right? That was the big problem last year. Now, that is one that had a lot of us concerned. I was one of them, brought it up multiple times throughout the season that, you know, you got a 23-year-old power hitting prospect like Nolan Gorman, and on 4 separate occasions, the guy had a back issue. Okay. And I'm going to throw up a picture on the YouTube screen real quick, courtesy of Fox Sports, but you can see it where it goes through the list of injuries that he had last year. In May, back. Twice in July, back issues. Then again in August. Plus, you had the foot injury in August and then the hamstring in September. That's a lot of pain for a 23-year-old. in just his second season in the major leagues. And when you have the PTSD from all of the issues that former Cardinal Tyler O'Neill went through, you can see why fans and I are a wee bit concerned about Nolan Gorman's future. The guy is clearly put together very, very well. Takes great care of himself, right? 6'1", 210 pounds. Is a rock. Got those broad shoulders, thick upper body, thick legs. You can see where all this power comes from. So you know he's putting the time in the gym. Like he's doing that. He is at the gym lifting, clearly, and lifting heavy. But then again, so did Tyler O'Neill. And yet the injuries kept coming. We know he's got the talent. He's got that elite power that everybody looks for. His 162-game average after 2 seasons in the big leagues would have him hitting 232, but 32 home runs, 86 RBIs, 454 slugging, 771 OPS, OPS plus so far in his career 112. Now, if we compare that to the rest of the second baseman in Major League Baseball last year, he would have been second in dingers, third in RBIs, sixth in slugging, seventh in OPS. And if we're talking just the National League, he's top 5 in all of those categories. In the 2021 season, Tyler O'Neill goes off, right? Just went off. MVP votes. That's how good he was. Gold Glove winner. Seeming to be a superstar on the rise. And then the injuries started to occur. We heard how Tyler was trying to work on becoming more flexible. Those were the words that were used. And doing things to try and avoid the injuries. Some people think that play against the Braves where he got thrown out at home plate was because in his mind, he wasn't trying to push things so they didn't pull a hammy or do any other damage to himself. And it didn't work. It didn't work. He missed another massive chunk of the season last year with the back issues. And the Cardinals have now moved on. They're like, look, we're moving on. Send him to the Boston Red Sox, right? So, how do we stop that from happening to Nolan Gorman? That is the question that everybody's trying to answer. It's not just us as fans trying to figure this out. Coaching staff, front office, the training staff, Nolan Gorman himself. Everybody's trying to figure out what they can do so this doesn't become a problem throughout his entire career. So what does he got to do to remain on the field? Well, he's made some alterations to the diet. The answer might surprise you a bit of what he has decided to give up on and not eat as much of. Very interesting. We're going to talk about it next on Locked On Cardinals. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. You should never worry about getting tickets to your next big event, whether it's sports, whether it's comedy, whether it's your favorite band. Theater events. You want to take the wife to the theater. You want to go see Wicked or something, whatever it may be. Gametime is the fast and easy way for you to buy your tickets and not worry about not having anything available. They've got killer last minute deals. Going to save you some bucks there. You get, when you go to the seats, you can view what your visuals from that seat are going to look like. It'll show you exactly where you're going to be. You know, some places you click on something, it gives you like the whole section. Oh, you're going to be somewhere in this vicinity. No. Where are your seats from? You're going to find it there. Best price guarantee, something they stand by. They take the guesswork out of buying tickets. They really do. So what you need to do so that you aren't caught out in the cold this time around when it comes to going to your favorite events, you download the Gametime app, you create an account, and then you use that code Locked On and get $20 off your first purchase. We'll save you even more money by doing that. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code Locked On, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every single league. You're going to go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube, and you're going to subscribe. You know why? Because you're a sports fan, and you love this stuff. So go to it and be a part of the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. And thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Make sure you're leaving comments. Don't be shy. Leave comments on YouTube as well as on Twitter anytime you want, because your feedback is always welcome and encouraged, whether it's good or bad. Let us know what you're thinking. So what is the move for Nolan Gorman this offseason as far as diet goes to help him stay healthy, to be on the field a whole lot more than he was in 2022 or 2023? So what's he going to do? Eat more chicken, try to get more protein in him, maybe more vegetables. Got to get those greens, right? More protein, more vitamins. All these things make a lot of sense, right? That is not the answer. That is not the answer we got. Nope. Apparently, the key was popcorn. Popcorn. That's right. John Denton at MLB.com did a story on the Cardinals slugging second baseman, and popcorn was apparently part of the problem. Denton writes in his article, alleviating some of that back inflammation necessitated drastic measures this offseason, even if it meant Gorman not only cutting back on his favorite Netflix binging snack, but also changing brands completely. Gone was the same brand of popcorn that Gorman had loved munching on for years in his downtime, and it was replaced with a much healthier version that is made with coconut oil. The result, he said, is that he's anywhere from 8 to 10 pounds lighter, and his off-troublesome back is feeling better than it has in years. Gorman quoted in this article saying, "I think everything I did helped, and if it didn't, I probably wasn't doing the right stuff. With snacks, you find a replacement for something you love that's similar but better for you. It's also about portion control and not eating too much, because the replacement still isn't good for you. I really like popcorn, and there are some brands that are made with better oil. I've never eaten terrible, but I'm just trying to eat cleaner, more organic foods and knowing what my body needs." One thing I did learn from this article, other than the fact that Gorman was apparently eating, I'm going to assume, movie theater style popcorn this whole time. But I also learned that Gorman has been dealing with these back problems since high school. So this isn't something that just kind of popped up out of nowhere, landed in the Cardinals lab, and like, oh my gosh, what is this? No, apparently he's been dealing with it since high school. And according to Denton, was made worse by a wayward deadlifting session back in 2020. So the COVID year. There is a certain fear, as we've heard with Tyler O'Neill over the years, about being too big as a baseball player. Too big, too bulky. Certain positions, I guess you can get by with it. First base, catcher, obviously, most of the time you like your catcher a little more thick, but you don't like a huge, bulky pitcher, right? Middle infielders, normally you don't think about big, bulky guys. You think about the bulky guys on the corners, right? First and third. In the outfield, sometimes you can get away with it, but not up the middle, not at second, not at shortstop. And when I think of second baseman, I don't think of hulking guys who smash 40 home runs a year. I think of the guys that I watched growing up, guys like Craig Biggio, Ryan Sandberg, Roberto Alomar, Chase Utley, Jose Altuve, still in the league. Dustin Pedroia, not a big guy, right? Now, Nolan Gorman was a third baseman coming up in the system, right? He's become a second baseman because you got that other Nolan over there at third base, Nolan Arenado, and he's pretty darn good. So Nolan Gorman is still built like a third baseman. He's built thick like that third baseman normally is. He's actually a lot bigger than Nolan Arenado. Like, Nolan Arenado's not a huge guy, like thick-wise. Not like Gorman, at least. But that's just the way it's going to be. That's who he is. That's how he's built. So he's not going to just magically become smaller and leaner and wipe away all that muscle mass that he's built up over the years. That's just not going to happen. We got to accept that. But it's also, you can look at it as a bad thing, but you can also look at it, that is what separates him and makes his power stand out even that much more. Remember the years when, like, Jeff Kent, not the most agile guy out there, no foot speed to speak of, but he was a big thumper for the Giants at second base. It was him and Barry Bonds. It's a position that doesn't always yield the best offensive power numbers, but it's a strength for the Cardinals because now you have a Nolan Gorman there. And he can play third when he needs to. He can be the DH from the left side. Maybe he learns to play some first base at some point. I brought that up last year or this offseason, one of the two, where I'm like, how come we're not teaching Nolan Gorman to play a little first base? With his build and the way he is, maybe that makes sense for him. The future core of the Cardinals, lineup wise, it's quite bright. When you think about a Lars Nootbaar, and you think about Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman and Mason Wynn and Brendan Donovan, and then you've got the vets involved. The Arenados, Contreras, Paul Goldschmidt, Tommy Edman. I put him in the vets now. And then you got guys coming up like Ivan Herrera, Victor Scott II, Thomas Ajacci, Chase Davis, first-round pick, Cesar Prieto. Lucan Baker is still here. Dude almost won a Triple Crown in AAA last year. He's still around. So there's still some thump in this organization. And Gorman and Walker, they're your crown jewels, right? They're the crown jewels of what the future of the St. Louis Cardinals is going to be. You got to get them healthy. You got to keep them healthy. And according to Denton, people are noticing the changes that Nolan Gorman has made this offseason, not only physically, but also mentally. Manager Ali Marmol apparently impressed with the maturity level that he's seen out of Nolan Gorman. He told Denton in the article, he's dedicated. He wants to do this a long time. Had a really good offseason, physically and mentally, just getting prepped for what's ahead. He looks great. He's moving around and he's swinging it well. Overall, he's put himself in a really good position to have success. You're looking at a really scary bat if he stays on the field, which we're optimistic about him being able to do. And as a guy that works out, I'm not a big lifter like Nolan Gorman. Nobody's ever going to go like, whoa, that dude's beefy. But I'm a guy who works out regularly, okay? At least 4 times a week. I'm also a snacker. So I get what Nolan Gorman goes through, because when you're trying to build muscle mass, you're hungry all the time. You're constantly trying to feed your body. And you don't want to always eat vegetables and chicken and whatever the protein powders and all of that stuff that is necessary to build the big physique and stuff. You don't always want that. So you try to find that one snack that makes you feel okay, and popcorn apparently was the problem. So it's good to hear that he has found a different brand, because there's a bazillion of them to choose from. Just walk down the grocery store, go to Deerberg's, go to Schnucks, and walk down the popcorn snack aisle. Millions of them available. And I'm sure he likes the ones that are dripping with butter and salt. But if that's causing an issue and you can give that up and take a different one instead and be able to play 150 games instead of 115, I'm sure as hell making that change. And it appears Nolan Gorman is as well. 10 pounds from switching popcorns, man. I don't eat a lot of popcorn. I eat a lot of Pop-Tarts, so that's my weakness. What snack do you guys have trouble saying no to? Let me know about those in the comments section down below. And let me know your thoughts on Nolan Gorman in 2024 and beyond. Likes, dislikes. Do you think he's going to be the future cleanup hitter of the Cardinals? Is it going to be him and Walker as the two main cogs? Or do you think the Cardinals should move on? You don't trust the back issues? Let me know. Up next, which Cardinals reliever is impressing at camp? And the Pirates ink one of their best young players to an extension. This is Locked on Cardinals. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets. They've got live same-game parlays, exclusive props. You're betting on all the good stuff, right? Points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, assisted to turnover ratio. All the stuff that makes fantasy basketball a lot of fun. You can use that knowledge on FanDuel and make money off of it that night. Like you could be doing it tonight because the basketball games are back. NBA is back. Regular season back and underway. It's fun. It makes games more entertaining. If you got, say you had LeBron James, who's not playing tonight, but say you had LeBron James and you want to watch the Lakers and you're only interested, you don't care who wins really, but you're interested in what LeBron does. You can bet on his stats and make money and make that game that much more enjoyable to watch. And that's the goal. Entertainment, right? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. According to MLB.com's John Denton, one of the guys that is impressing at camp right now, a guy by the name of Riley O'Brien, relief pitcher. Remember him? Got him from the Mariners. Specifically, the sweeper that he's throwing at camp right now apparently is boggling people's minds. According to Denton, O'Brien's sweeper had a jaw-dropping 21 inches of horizontal break in his latest appearance. The average sweeper, according to MLB.com, has around 15 inches of horizontal movement. So 15, 21, 6 extra inches. And he throws it at 84 miles per hour, which may not sound like a big deal. You're like, oh, cool, whatever, 84 miles an hour. When you throw it slower, the break is even greater, right? And then you couple the 84-mile-an-hour sweeper that he's throwing there with the 98 miles per hour that he's throwing on his fastball. And you can see why the Cardinals wanted him from Seattle. And you can see why people are excited about him. Like I was watching, what was it? There was something on Twitter. Somebody had Edwin Diaz. They had Edwin Diaz where, one of those things where it shows at the same time his fastball and then the break on his breaking ball, which is virtually the same thing, the slider sweeper. And they were showing the difference and how difficult it is to hit Edwin Diaz, the closer for the Mets. That is what you're seeing out of Riley O'Brien so far in spring. And this is a guy that's bounced. He's 29. This is not some kid. A guy that's bounced around from Tampa Bay, then the Reds, then the Mariners. But 51 appearances last year at AAA, 2.29 ERA, 86 Ks, 15 saves across 55 innings of work. Let me repeat that. 86 strikeouts in 55 innings, 14.1 strikeouts per nine. That'll play. And the Cardinals, here's the thing. The Cardinals have, obviously, your closer, Ryan Helsley, Giovanni Gallegos, Keenan Middleton, Andrew Kittredge, Andre Palante, Nick Anderson you got from Boston, Ryan Fernandez you got from Boston, and Riley O'Brien from Seattle. All of them from the right side. Can't all make the team. Helsley, Gallegos, Middleton, Kittredge, they're in. They're not going anywhere, right? So this is going to be one, because there's not a ton of competition at camp for the Cardinals, really. Position player, where everybody's going for the most part. But the bullpen, who's that sixth guy going to be for the rotation? Those are the competitions. The bullpen is the biggest competition at spring training this year. Number one by far. So it's going to be exciting to watch all of these guys when games get started this weekend and they get out there on the mound and see what they can do. I'm excited. You should be excited too, because I love what the Cardinals have done with their bullpen. They got a couple of veterans to go along with their other veterans, but then they brought in a bunch of young arms who could either sink or swim. We don't know. Will they rise to the occasion and be great? We hope so. Will they fall off the face of the earth and not be worth a crap? That could happen too. But they got so many of them where if somebody does not turn out to be the way they want them to be, they're not hamstrung by it. They're not like, oh man, what do we do now? They've got other guys who can step up. So I'm excited about it. Can't wait to see these guys on the mound this weekend. Some news from the division. The Pittsburgh Pirates have locked up their ace per sources. The team and their 27-year-old all-star, Mitch Keller, are in agreement for a 5-year, $77 million deal that will keep him under contract through the 2028 season. Deal is pending a physical, has not yet been announced by the team, but once finalized, it will be the largest contract for a pitcher in franchise history, as well as the highest average annual value for a contract in team history. He's going to be their starter on opening day for the second consecutive year. There was footage of him getting the announcement, I guess you could say, the news in the office today. They gave him a bottle of champagne and said, "Hey, you're going to be the starter again." And I know it's a division opponent, and we all want good things for the Cardinals, bad for everybody else. I understand that. But I love that the Pirates have done this. For years, they've traded away superstar talent, specifically from the pitching side, and received very little in return. Garrett Cole, Tyler Glasnow, Jameson Taillon, just off the top of my head, those are the guys that I think of. They're keeping Keller. They're keeping Brian Reynolds. And even though that's trouble for the Cardinals, it's good for the game. It's good for the game. Kodai Senga news. The Mets' presumed ace this season has been shut down. This big news, by the way. Posterior capsule strain in his throwing shoulder. Shut down. Will likely start the season on the injured list, and there is no exact timeline for his return. That's huge news for the Mets, who have all this money and just lost their ace. Which means that guys like Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, still out there right now. They could be getting a call from the Mets, and maybe the Mets panic. Maybe they do meet the demands of them and their agent, Scott Boras, who has got 4 of the biggest ones out there still. Matt Chapman, Cody Bellinger, Snell, Montgomery, still don't have homes yet. But when you lose a Kodai Senga, maybe the Mets fold now. And they're like, all right, we'll give you whatever you want. What do you want? What do you want? 7 years, 170, boom, let's go. Maybe that happens now. So maybe it all works out for these guys. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. Make sure in the comments section you tell me how cool my hat looks, because I love it. You're the best fans in baseball for a reason. And I will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals. Have a good one.